Shriner. Oh, a couple things I want to talk about tonight. It's been a busy weekend for me. When you ask the Father for the truth on all things, be prepared to dig, because He's going to put you to work. He doesn't always give you the answers outright, but He makes you work for it, and He helps you along the way. And so I spent a lot of time on Saturday, on Sabbath, just learning some things. I want to talk about that later. I wanted to mention that a lot of hype this week about Operation Gotham Shield. And, of course, everybody's apprehensive because the last time they simulated such a huge attack, it became real. All these false flags going on. Sandy Hook, the Boston Marathon, 9/11, shootings. The club shooting, Orlando shooting in Florida, the shooting on the pier out in California. There's so much going on all the time with false flags. And they do these, they set them up just for distractions. Distractions, not one child died in Sandy Hook. And yet they parade it on TV like it's a real event. They have the crying parents who are laughing off camera, cry on camera. You had the kids reappearing in a what was that? I don't know what football game that was at, but they showed up in a choir or something. They do this in-your-face stuff all the time. And so you never know when they're actually going to pull the plug. I mean, they did on 9/11. The buildings came down, but it was also a planned attack on our own soil to go to war against Iraq, then push it into Afghanistan. And so what's the purpose of Operation Shield? Because if they're going to do something big, they're going to have a big reason behind it. They want something out of it. And so I think it's pretty obvious that this whole Operation Shield is a CIA-planned, coordinated event. I spoke at the beginning of this month, and I was saying there's chaos at the end of the month. I don't know what's going on, but there's chaos at the last week of April into the first 3 weeks of May. And I had no idea what was going on, but I could see in the Bible codes that something was going on because there was a lot of hype the next several weeks. There's a lot of hype going on, a lot of energy being raised over something. So this week seems to be this Operation Gotham Shield, and Gotham City obviously being Manhattan. And so who's behind it? The Deep State. The Deep State. Who's the Deep State? The CIA. If you look at every person involved in the Deep State, the shadow government, it went from being called shadow government to Deep State. They're CIA agents. Look at where these people, Hillary and Bill, Obama, why do you think you can't take them down? Because they're protected by thousands of other agents who are CIA. It's the big hearing circus. That's why it's too big to fail, too big to take down. You deal with people who want to protect them because Hillary is the face of something much bigger behind her. So is Bill. So is Obama. They play their character roles as the face of the front, but the ones behind them pushing the agendas and pulling the strings are much larger, much more powerful. George Soros has a lot of money tied up in secret organizations, secret funds. He has it everywhere. And it's the Soros money that's being used behind this Gotham Shield. I don't even know if he's still alive, but his money's still out there. They want to disrupt the Trump administration. They want to disrupt the whole thing. They haven't gone anywhere. He might be looking like he's making headway against the left side, the left liberals. But when they're quiet, they're plotting. And when they were running their mouths, Trump was plotting. And so now you see a lot of them being called into court for trivial things just to get the point across. Shut up about the president, which I don't understand why any of these people that were threatening harm against him aren't in prison. Anybody else would be. Just because they're a celebrity and CIA agents doesn't give them a free pass to go on television and pronounce harm against the president. You know, most of the celebrities you see and news journalists, they're all CIA. They're all agents, folks, and they use this deep state term as a cover for CIA. So they want to disrupt the Trump administration. They want to pull it down. And this is Obama. This is Soros. This is that entire group. It hasn't changed. It's the same people, the usual characters. And, you know, it's pretty bad when the president has to keep running and dodging and hiding because they keep planning on shooting and blowing up stuff. You never know if a drill is going to go live. Do I think it's going to go live tomorrow? No. Could it go live in the next several days or weeks? It could. It very well could. But do I see it tomorrow? No. Or not tomorrow, but Wednesday, the 26th. Hey, maybe they'll do something tomorrow. I haven't even looked at tomorrow. I don't think so. I don't see anything going on until after the 26th. The 26th and on. And that's what I've been saying. I was saying it a month ago. That the end of April into May was going to be pure chaos. And I don't know what kind of chaos. Hype can be of chaos. It's really hard to define sometimes in the Bible because exactly what the term is meaning. So a lot of hype and a lot of people getting frazzled or maybe hyped about false flags going on could definitely be chaos. There's a lot of energy being produced. I don't give it much energy. I don't give it much thought. Because false flags are a dime a dozen with the Obama administration. We just went through 8 years of it. And we thought having Trump, things would calm down. He's not the one doing it. It's still the deep state, the CIA, working in the background, causing all this chaos. Now what's the point? Besides disrupting the Trump administration and keeping them on their heels? Well, they could use it if they actually pulled it off. They could say, oh, hey, we were just having a drill, and the North Koreans showed up and bombed Manhattan, like they did on 9/11. It was just a drill, and all of a sudden Arabs showed up flying airplanes into buildings. The bad thing was people bought it back then. But they still buy it. So we'll have to wait. Something weird going on outside this window. So we'll have to wait and see exactly if something happens and who they blame it on. Because they want North Korea, they want in Syria, because they have no central banks, you know. They have no Soros-owned, Rothschild-owned central banks, and so they want both those countries. It also helps along with creating drama. Because if you had a huge nuclear simulation in New York, then the ascended masters come in, claiming to be gods, and they're coming to save mankind. That's always a possibility, folks. You know, they want to come in and save mankind. Because another thing about the whole thing is there's supposed to be the currency reset, the global currency reset, by May 1st. And so now you're hearing about all this hype of blowing stuff up by May 1st because the New World Order cabal, the Soros-run side, the CIA side, are trying to stop the global reset. Trump has already signed on to it. CIA, deep state, want to prevent it. And so they're pulling out these distractions. I think 9/11 had something to do way back then of stopping the global reset, because I believe the building they brought down 7 had a bunch of documents and stuff in it. So they just destroyed the whole building. Yeah. Way too early back then. But you know what? This stuff's supposed to go on. It can't just keep delaying. Delay. But it's supposed to hit by April 30th, by May 1st. Now, if you've been watching this as long as I've had to, they have dates all the time. And guess what happens when they roll around and nothing happens? They just push it back. They just keep strolling people along. So that's the things going on this week, and we always have the GCR. We're always going to have the deep state. And until the GCR happens, we're going to have to deal with the deep state trying to prevent it. And Trump always happened to run into bunker because his own intelligence agency that he said he loved is always trying to blow him up. I love the CIA. Really? He should have gotten an Oscar. They don't care if you love them. They're still going to try to kill you. Just a heads up to Trump. They don't stop. They don't stop. When you're on their target list, they don't stop. So, kind of where we're at. I'm thinking the show on Wednesday might be interesting in being able to... I don't see anything false flag-wise on Wednesday. Again, or tomorrow. Just saying. It could pick up at the end of the week. They tend to like Fridays and Mondays. So, I don't know. No inside information on it. Because there's nothing there. It's a false flag. And Father doesn't typically keep me busy or focused on false flags. I can ask him who's behind it, and he'll tell me. But whether they do it or not, it remains to be seen, because until they do it, man has free will to either proceed, cancel, or delay it. And that's typically how the Bible codes work. There's always 3 routes. That's why people ask me about time travel, and I'm thinking, how do they know exactly which route's gonna be accurate? But if you time travel into the future and you're on the A road, and in the future at this time we actually took the C road. How accurate is that? How accurate is it? Multiple timelines, when there's always 3 at any one time. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Because I'm not getting too hyped over it. So I hope other people will just calm down, because, until something happens, I'm not seeing it. Not until after Wednesday. Not seeing anything up until then. I've just been so busy with other things that I do like doing, like digging out truths out of the Bible. When you think about the ephod, the breastplate of the priests the Jews wore, they wore the 12 stones on the ephod. And each of those stones represented a tribe of Israel. Now, when you understand gemstones, yeah, they're pretty. They're gorgeous. But they also have properties to them. There's certain properties with each one. And when you put them together, they can produce combinations of different frequencies, of different power. This is what I learned, back in 2004, when I was praying and asking the Father for a way to tear down Satan's strongholds on earth, how to tear down the New World Order, how to protect and defend ourselves against their satellite weapons, their EMF weapons, remote neural monitoring. We were being attacked by high-tech weapons. And guess what? None of that was in the Bible to prepare people for the future. Hey, in the last days, you're going to be attacked by satellite weapons, biological weapons, remote neural monitoring. You're going to be a TI, which is a targeted individual. None of that was in the Bible. Nobody had any forewarning. So I was praying to the Father, how do we stop it? How do we defend ourselves against it? There are all these cell towers going up, and they use these towers as part of their targeting against humans. And when you're a victim of it, it's a whole different nightmare. I mean, a lot of people hear people talking about it, and they just think they're crazy. But when you're a victim of this stuff, it's not fun. And the churches just want to sit on their couches and in their pews and sing, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And here, Christians are being struck down with heart attacks and brain aneurysms and blood clots, all based on weapons being targeted at them because Satan doesn't like them, because they're threatening his agenda. They're warriors, they're truthers, they're big mouths. And they're being struck down and killed, and the Christians are singing, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Really? That doesn't make any sense to me. I've been struck down with heart attacks. I've been in the hospital with heart attacks. Really? No weapon formed against me? Maybe that's a metaphorical, don't you think? Because Satan can kill the body, but he can't have your soul. But the body still goes through a lot of pain when you're in attacks. And so he taught me how the energy works with crystals and how to make orgone. This crystals is a huge gemstone, it's quartz crystal, and there's certain powers and energies that it produces. In fact, the kind of orgone we make produces what's called blue ether energy. Ether energy is the very air you breathe. It's the life, the blue aura around the earth. It's the same energy. And when we make our orgone, it emits the same energy that produces the blue aura around the earth. It's a life-giving energy. It's healing. And this alone, this pure energy, which is also called breath, because it's the same thing as in the Father's breath, the same energy, destroys evil. I mean, when he arrives on the white horse, the second coming of Christ, he speaks to them and they self-destruct. He doesn't push any buttons or throw any weapons. The very breath of his mouth when he speaks to them causes their destruction. Another reason orgone described as breath, because it produces the same energy that his breath does, and it destroys evil. And we've seen this orgone. I started this orgone war, and we've put it around the world as we can raise up warriors to get it in their countries and their islands and in their states. And it's been crashing UFOs. I'm thinking about almost 22,000 to date. UFOs. People say, I saw a star falling the other day. It's not a star, it's a starship. It's UFOs. You see the booms. The media calls them meteors. You get it on the land near underground bases, and it pulls in the orgoned air in underground bases and destroys aliens and those. Gets in the water supply, it's like acid to them. So our war against them has been very effective. So I knew there's a lot of power just in quartz crystal. Can you imagine on the 12 gemstones on the breastplate of the priests, the ancient priests? And they were placed in a special way. It's almost like a dial pad that the Father could just light up in any particular order, in any way he wanted to, because each stone has a different purpose and a different energy. When I was looking at the stones describing the 12 levels of the New Jerusalem, which is the city that will come down out of heaven after the 1,000-year millennial reign, the Bible describes the New Jerusalem coming down, hovering above the earth. And this city has 12 levels. And each level is represented by a certain gemstone. And these gemstones all have certain properties. See, the Father never does anything without the master plan and the reasonings behind it. They're not the exact same colors of stones that were used on the breastplate because the breastplate was needed for different purposes. Just as the New Jerusalem has its own purpose. The breastplate was the significance of the 12 tribes of Israel. The New Jerusalem has the significance of the 12 apostles. See? Different purposes, different powers needed, different frequencies of the stones. People think, oh, that's all New Age. But what do you think they get it? They steal our knowledge, and just because they turn it into a blah, blah, blah that nobody could stand to listen to, doesn't mean the original meanings and intent aren't true. You know, the Christian church ignores so much that everybody else picked it up and ran with it. And then what happens is the church, instead of embracing the truths they already have, they just claim, oh, that's New Age, and they ignored it. You know, I've always said I want to be on the top floor. And amethyst has always been my favorite stone. And amethyst is the main stone and color of the New Jerusalem. I love amethyst. Amethyst is the spiritual connection stone. It helps you to focus on the Father, on religious things, spiritual things. Not religious, but spiritual. And so I'm going to make a video and highlight the things that the Father taught me about the 12 stones and the breastplate and the 12 levels of the New Jerusalem. I would just so much rather focus on the fun stuff and who wants to blow up who. Because that's the same old down here. That's like hit the Pete and repeat. You know, the Obama-Trump wars are getting really old. Really old. And just because you don't see Obama doesn't mean he's not plotting and planning. Especially the people behind him. You know, he's CIA. I've been screaming that since 2008. And they're like parasites. Once they worm their way in, you can't get rid of them. They're like cockroaches that won't die. If you kill one, they just clone it and bring up another. That's why Obama has 12 clones. Another thing I'll probably bring up is this whole, the different factions being involved with things. Everybody's got their own intel. It's all over the internet. Videos coming out. One of the things I find interesting is that whenever you don't agree with one of them, they all blast you as being anti-whatever. You know, you try to warn the New Agers that there's Sananda, Asu, Emmanuel is a fake Jesus, and they claim you're the New World Order cabal trying to cause trouble. You know, if you don't agree with them and play the same harp as them, they'll blast you as being government or something. It's like, no. I just know I can see what's going on with the agenda. I've been screaming about it longer than you've been involved with it. You know, and if it's not that, if it's not people getting whitewashed into this whole fake Jesus thing that's coming, it's the chip implanting that's coming, the beast chip. So many are fighting that, saying, "Oh, it's not the chip. That's not the mark of the beast." And it is. And most definitely will damn your soul. And everyone would say, "Well, we were out chip implanted already." Yeah, we know, we get that. But that isn't the one to come. The one to come you have to have in order to buy or sell. Or it's like having a debit card and it's stuck inside your hand. You have to have a debit card to buy anything in a cashless society. And the same thing with a chip. You're going to have a chip to buy anything. If you don't have a chip, you can't buy anything. It's tied into economics. People try to say, oh, it's your right hand and forehead. It's what you're thinking. It's your actions. That doesn't even make sense. How can you be refused that you can't buy anything if you have bad thoughts? How do they know what your thoughts are or what your actions are? It's so stupid. But that philosophy alone is probably going to damn millions of souls to hell because they'll go ahead and get the chip. And if that doesn't get them, the fake Jesus will get them because he's coming with his mother. And I'm laughing because it's just fake. It's just all fake. It's just all fake and deception, folks. There's 11 of them in the Ashtar Command. And they're coming. It's not if, it's when. And Maitreya will come with them to fulfill the Sharia and Sunni prophecies of a Muslim Mahdi, the 12th Imam, the last Imam to come. The Christians will get the coming of their Jesus with this fake Jesus. Now, if they read the Bible, they would know that when Jesus, Yahushua, arrives at the second coming, he's not coming to revamp the world's economies. He's not coming to heal people. He's coming in judgment at the second coming of Christ, the Battle of Armageddon. He's coming in the clouds as a conquering king. But people don't read their Bibles. And so they'll be fooled by this Jesus that comes and tries to revamp the Lord's ministry when he was on earth as a shepherd, as a teacher, as a healer. This fake Jesus coming is going to mimic all of that. He's tall, because he's an Nephilim. And he's effeminate, because they're all gay. Yeah, these are all these Ashtar Command freaks that are coming, folks. So until they arrive and start this 8th and final regime on Earth, we get to put up with the hissy fits of the liberal left, of the CIA. Because that's who they represent. They all represent the CIA. That's who signs the paychecks. No peace in sight, folks. Everybody just wants a peace of mind. Let's just all get along so everybody can have a collective breath of fresh air, peace. And you're never going to get it with mainstream media because they're all CIA. You can see what they're doing at Fox News by taking out the last vestiges and only vestiges of right-wingers, taking out Bill O'Reilly, now Sean Hannity. Next will be everybody else you like, Judge Napolino, Judge Pirro, Ann Coulter probably on the chopping block. I don't even know if she has her own show, but whatever. You know, all the right-wingers, they're just going to come after all of them. What's left of conservative news on TV will be completely destroyed. I've heard these women's accounts against Bill O'Reilly, and I laughed. I totally laughed. Do I believe them? No. Not for a second. And Megyn Kelly, when, you know, it has to be the first, a sexual assault on a transgender? Really? I just don't believe it for a second. And then this black woman was talking about how Riley called her chocolate. Seriously? Do you think anybody? I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it for a second. I started laughing. Like Bill O'Reilly walked up to her and said, "Hello, chocolate." Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I don't believe it. These women are crazy. They're bought off. pull out the fake tears just so they can end any kind of right-wing news on the last channel on TV that ever had it. And this is why so many people are getting rid of cable. And they don't watch TV. They're going to the Internet. And now they're attacking the right-wingers on the Internet by pulling their funding away, which was funny to me because I've never made money on the Internet from any of these sources like YouTube. That hasn't bothered me because I don't have employees. I never made enough money to hire employees. So now all these other people who are being suppressed and oppressed, maybe now they can begin to understand what I've been going through for 15 years. Because they've been beating me down for 15, 16 years. Lucky for me. I've managed to stay on the air. That's about it. The father takes care of the bills. I don't drive a Mercedes. I don't live in a fancy house. I don't have employees. And I'm not used to those things. So if I lost them, I can't lose what I don't have. It doesn't mean anything to me if they want to pull the funding on YouTube. It doesn't mean nothing to me. I never made any money on it. A guy would never do what I do for as long as I've done it. He would never do it. But if a guy actually stood up and did, he probably would have had employees and all that. People support men. They don't support women. They'll support the men. People will fall over, I'll do this for you and do that, and you have free websites and free producers and production staff making awesome videos for him, and, men get all the help. Women are just left out to dry. And for some reason, the father wanted it that way. That's how he wanted it. Anyway, maybe it's almost over. Maybe we're looking at crunch time. Crunch time. I was looking outside today about 5:30 in the morning. I got up to let the dogs out. And I looked east, and I thought it was the moon. It was so huge. I'm thinking, what's the moon doing in the east? And it was the heavenly planet we call EP. And it was beautiful, and it was bronze, and it was diamond, and I'm thinking, wow. Usually every night it's in the southwest. It sets with the sun in the southwest. So every night it's in the southwest. And then in the early mornings, it travels with the sun across the sky. And in the early mornings, it rises back in the east. That is the biggest I've ever seen it. Gorgeous. So maybe our departure is soon, folks. I'm not a date setter because Lord knows we have dates all the time. There's always times and windows when we could leave. So I can't set dates because you never know when one's going to hit. But I'll tell you what, I've been waiting for a particular sign from the Father that the first group is leaving, because I've told you there's 3 different raptures. First group is leaving soon, and so when I see a particular sign, then we'll know the first group is leaving. And I haven't seen it yet, and when I do, I'll let you know. But I'll tell you, wow, it was amazing what I saw this morning. You can't win with anybody in Bible prophecy because everybody has their own views and opinions. I grew up a Baptist, and they were pre-trib rapturists, and I wasn't. But there's no way the Bible teaches a pre-trib rapture. I don't see it. And I was a Baptist, so I was a rebel and hated by the other Baptists because I didn't believe in a pre-trib rapture. I tended to embrace more of the mid-trib. And then you have all the post-tribbers screaming there is no mid-trib, or, you have to ignore a lot of scripture. The scripture you have to ignore if you're a post-tribber is the fact that he protects the Church of Philadelphia. You have to ignore that one. Or you just say, well, he can protect them on earth. Doesn't mean there's a rapture. But then, John talks about in my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. I will come again and receive you unto myself. have to blow that one away, too. And so for years, I just adopted the Church of Philadelphia rapture. That was the only one I would acknowledge, because it talks about, he was teaching me about the hour of temptation that comes over. And I thought I had an hour tonight. It's 45 minutes. Anyway, it ends up being the mid-trib, right before the mark of the beast is enforced. He will take the last group of Christians home. 2 months ago before that. Anyway, maybe I'll talk. I've already done videos on it. You can go to YouTube. I have 2 videos on different rapture dates and why I will. That's what the Father has taught me. The hour of temptation is when the mark of the beast is being enforced on the world, and he will remove his people at that time, the ones who qualify. Anyway, folks, I'll be back Wednesday at noon with Blacklisted News. Wednesday and Friday this week. Don't forget to support this ministry. Help keep me on the air. Keep the truthers supported, folks. Go to SherryShriner.com and click on the donate page. Till Wednesday, everybody. God bless.